This week's news from the tubes on F5 Live Refreshing Technology is proudly powered by Malwarebytes. Whether you use a PC, a Mac, or a mobile device, Malwarebytes Premium is the company's strongest protection ever. It fights threats that traditional antivirus software can't stop, plus it actively blocks threats like worms, rogues, dialers, trojans, spyware, and a whole lot more. It allows you to use your computer and mobile devices with confidence and peace of mind. To learn more and to get a special price, you can go to f5live.tv/malwarebytes. One of the biggest complaints about social media platforms has been the unpredictability of it, the unknowingness of it. Whether it be Facebook and Twitter or YouTube, we've talked about the black hole that is the unwritten rules for said platforms. There's stuff that's public, there's stuff that's private. We don't necessarily know on any platform what content moderation actually looks like. There are certain content producers that have sued each and every one of the social media companies, or at least the video companies in particular. And there's one that has sued all of them. And it's all over this black box that is content moderation. California has a law that's going into effect that it's trying to shine some light into those black boxes. In particular, they want in the, not the privacy policy, but the usage policy of these platforms, spelled out what the moderation policies are. Now, here's the thing. That is a very hard ask. Basically, what they've asked for is to track stats for a period of time on what has caused moderation activities, and then put that in the user policies. Twitter, X, Elon Musk, however, whatever brand we want to put on that platform right now, has had the weirdest relationship with content moderation over the last, let's say, year and a half, 2 years. Before Elon Musk bought the company, its content moderation was confusing. Elon Musk's pitch when purchasing the company was that it was going to be a more transparent, more open, less moderated platform. It's kind of happened, but it's actually gotten more confusing because stuff that in the past was being blocked or demoted in reach has still seen that. And then stuff that in the past wasn't has been punished even harsher. And based on what rules? Well, I think like what Avram said in another segment, whim, particularly of Elon Musk himself, because he doesn't talk to anybody before he does things. He just does things. So like the Elon Jet, at Elon Jet, that tracked the public transponder information of his private jet and still made it public, was suspended. Why? Don't worry about it. So Twitter, X, has filed suit against the state of California to try to prevent them from enforcing this new law. Here's the thing. Generally, their arguments are not related. I am, we've had our conversations on this. I'm a little more on the lax side, but his arguments aren't that. It's not, we have an open platform, we have our things published, or we don't want encroachment on the First Amendment. It's more like it's a violation of Section 230. What? I'm going to need you to show your work on that one, because the explanation in the actual filing, I don't follow the reasoning on how it's a violation of Section 230. They're not telling you what to moderate. They're just telling you to be open about how you're moderating, which I think is a good thing. I'd like to know what the rules are. We've complained about it on YouTube a lot. I'd like to know what the rules are. Happy to play by rules. It's your platform. I get it. I just want to know what the rules are. But this doesn't seem to be that, unless, Avram, here's my conspiracy theory pitch. That they're doing things that they shouldn't be. They're moderating on things that either are against what he promised up front, or that he thinks will make the community angry, and he doesn't want the light shown on it. And that's entirely what it is. That's my pitch.
Yeah, so I was just looking at the text of Section 230, of the actual text of Section 230, and it says here, quote, no provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be held liable on account of A, any action voluntarily taken in good faith to restrict access to or availability of material that the provider or user considers to be obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing, or otherwise objectionable.
Okay.
Right? So that could mean anything, right?
Sure.
Whether or not such material,
the company or the user base considers
yes,
objectionable. Okay.
right. Whether or not such material is constitutionally protected. Or B, any action taken to enable or make available to information content providers or others the technical means to restrict access to material described in paragraph 1. In other words, we can allow you to block
Other users.
It's block other users.
Yeah.
So what does this how could this actually like affect them? I suppose that if you list something, if you list your moderation policies and then you don't follow them, could that possibly make you liable? Like, you say that you're going to do X, Y, and Z, but then you don't do it exactly as you said. Therefore, or by the way, there was one part of this I'd never heard before. Taken in good faith. What's good faith?
Right.
Is banning people who say bad things about Elon Musk on the platform a good faith effort? Is like not banning people who promote a political ideology that he likes, but may violate other things? Good faith, like, what constitutes good faith?
Right. Yeah,
There,
that's always like, I always hate vagueness in law.
right. So taken in good faith, that could actually be, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like that could mean something. But also, I think overall, the reason that they don't want to do it, I almost can't blame them. Because, I think because it's Musk and his thing has just been like such a crazy situation right now with who he's banning and what he's doing, that it would be embarrassing. I don't think they have a written policy, so they'd have to actually write one. And if they wrote one, then they might have to follow it. And I think that would be very problematic, because I think it's really seat of the pants, whatever floats his boat that day. But I do, like, we have forums on Tom's Hardware, and occasionally, and we have moderators of the forums, and occasionally I will get a message from, and the moderators don't report to me, right? They have another group that runs it. And occasionally I will get messages from irate forum posters who say like, why did you guys ban me, or why did you erase my post? And like, I'll be real honest, like, I don't always know the circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the circumstances usually of why someone's post was banned, and I'll like forward that mail to the person who's in charge, and they'll always say to me like, "Oh, there was a really good reason," right? Uh, but I can see that some of this stuff, there is a level of subjectivity, right? There's a level of
Yeah.
like, oh, is what you said, like, we might have rules like, oh, don't talk about, like, we don't want people to talk about politics in the tech forum.
Sure.
But is there something that they said that sort of, hey, our moderator thought it was political, but the person posting it didn't, or
Mm-hmm.
don't talk about violence or something like that. Like, um, so I think moderators can be very, like, moderators are human, right? So if you are putting up a policy and then somebody says, "Oh wow, I think your moderator," and by the way, a lot of people use volunteer moderators. They're not,
Yeah.
"Oh, I think your moderator shouldn't have banned me." Or shouldn't have deleted my post, and then you have to, and then if you were say, look, here's your policy, and you didn't live up to your policy, and and
Yeah.
now I'm going to sue you. Like, I I could totally see a company being very spooked by that, like being very scared by that. That like, we have a human element here that involves some judgment, and someone could would this open the door to somebody suing us? Maybe better not to write. Maybe better not to have it published where everyone can see it. So, like, now in their case, though, if they were to try to write up a policy, it would be really patently obvious that they weren't following it, probably, because they wouldn't write up a policy that said, "Our policy is to ban whoever Elon Musk dislikes today." Like,
Right.
and not ban whoever he agrees with, even if they violate these terms, right? And and they're going to continue to have terms, right? They're not, and I see this all the time. Like, I mean, what I mean is, I see all the time people I know posting up stuff on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it, uh, saying like, "Oh, I reported this person for DMing or posting this like really offensive thing that was really insulting and like bigoted," and then the complaint department got back to me and said, "No, this didn't violate our rules." So
Yeah.
I think it's a hot potato. Like, it's a hot potato. If you're the business, it's a really hot potato, dealing with who gets banned and what gets deleted. And even those who try to do a good job will, who try in good faith to maintain like a fair community with even equally enforced rules, have a hard time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, it's it's complicated, right? I can see the possibility of it opening up future liability that doesn't exist now, that anger from the community. Yeah, none of it's good. It would be great if there were more detailed standards, but maybe not necessarily this is 100%. We still have some human element, but like I always go back to YouTube, right? Twitter is its own weird. It's kind of always been its own weird chaos engine, but I go back to YouTube. We lose views all the time. They don't talk. I can't get them to explain what that means. Did people go back in time and not watch the video? I have friends that have had videos, perfectly normal, nothing videos, get pulled. Why? Just violation of community standards. Can I get more detail than that? No. And YouTube has what they call the Crowder rule, which is it's not written but we don't care. It's actually what they call it internally, is the Crowder rule. It's not a written rule, but we're going to do it anyway. That makes it hard to do interesting things on the platform. So a little more detail, maybe not all out. Maybe there's a middle ground that we can find. But I get what you're saying. The human element makes it a more complicated situation to have to
Right. I
deal
mean,
with.
they should. Let's be clear. They should put it out. They should put something out. I don't know whether putting it out actually would make them liable for, judicial review of
Right.
banning someone or deleting a post or something. But I understand why they don't want to. But at the same time, it's probably for the best if they do put it out, because you're right. Like, if you're putting something up and you don't know why it violated the rules, like I got permanently, I got permanently banned from a subreddit the other day, right? And and I really think the person was being unfair to me, but and they wouldn't explain why. They're like, "Well, you should know why." Like, it
Well,
was.
if you don't know, I'm not going to tell you. Must have been a Linux forum.
Yes. No, it was. It was. It was. I'll tell everybody, because I don't think I did anything particularly wrong, but probably inappropriate. But you know how Reddit is. So our Reddit is a great, like, I love, I say this really, I love Reddit, and Reddit has been a great source of traffic for Tom's Hardware. A lot of people, particular subreddits, people post, people not us, like people who readers, um, have posted links to our articles, and we get a good amount of traffic from that. And so, anything we can do to let people on Reddit know about our content,
Sure.
we want to do it, because Reddit is a great source for us, and is a great match for our type of people who like to discuss things or whatever. So I started to go into the R technology subreddit, and the R technology subreddit is the really broad, like, about any kind of technology, and it's got several million users. And for like a month or two, every week or two, I would go in there, and it doesn't say that you can't promote your own work. It does not say that specifically in their terms of service. So I would go in there and I would post a link to a, like, broad interest story that I did, right? You could post links. I would post, links to, like, my AI stories, and they would get a ton of comments, like, and upvotes and stuff, like 200, 300 people upvoting or commenting or whatever.
Wow.
Like, it was really nice to see, right? I mean, I would just like to go in there and read the comments that people had, because while they could comment on our forum, they probably more likely to comment on Reddit,
because they're already
a
there.
little bit. So they were already there, right? So I really enjoyed doing it. And then one day, like, maybe it was like the sixth or seventh time in like 2 months I had posted there, they my post got deleted and I was banned, even though my post has gotten like tons of upvotes. It was a link to one of my AI articles. That's what the post was. That's all it was, right? And the person, and I wrote to the moderator who did it, and I was like, why? I don't understand what I did. Can you explain it? And they're like, well, you should know better. And everybody, and I banned so many people from your company because none of you follow rules and you think the rules don't apply to you. And and I wrote the person back and I was like, hey, what rules? I don't understand. And they muted me, that I can't write to them again.
All right.
And first of all, this person wouldn't explain what rule it was that I broke. Second of all, they have some bias against people who work for our publishing company, and said that they banned a whole bunch of them, and I'm constantly banning you guys because you can't follow rules and you don't think it applies to you. So
Fascinating.
so so they're biased against us. It doesn't say that we can't post that. We didn't get a warning, you know, and they kicked me out. And people like my posts, right? Um, so
See, a little more transparency.
so
Somewhere in the middle. Maybe we can meet
right.
somewhere in the
So and
middle.
this person was probably a volunteer moderator, right?
Yeah.
And no one can
And
stop them. It's their own
and
little fiefdom.
in fairness, there has been this whole big Reddit moderator issue. Um,
Right.
there were like 2 or 3 articles that came up in my research for the show this week. They were all about the issues going on with moderation at Reddit. After the Reddit blackout a couple months ago,
Right.
there's been issues with moderation. So it could also be come down to that, right? There's all kinds of possibilities, or it could just be a full-on bias
Yeah.
and
I
have
guess
nothing to do
other
with
people
anything
who worked
else.
I guess other people who worked for Future, and he realized who I was or whatever, was like,
Yeah,
hey, I mean, it's in my profile, so whatever.
right.
Um, but yeah, what a. Anyway, so yes, I can see that if Reddit put out their rule, which they do for each Reddit, but who am I to appeal to? And
Right.
I don't want any trouble, but
Fair
any
enough.
more trouble. But but
Fair enough.
but that that's I understand why people want the rules posted, and I also understand why companies would be like, hey, wait a second, we don't want to have to like overly scrutinize.
Yeah, for sure. Makes sense. Well, it'll be interesting to see if they're able to get a preliminary injunction on this. My guess is no. No way it happens, and this goes into effect as normal on its date. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course, hit the notification bell because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.